Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Pennsylvania High School Football Report podcast. I'm Brian Linder. We're here with a whole different kind of crew this week. We're here with sports editor Austin Hertzog, who was on before the season. Austin, let them hear your voice.
Hey, everyone.
We got Dan Sostek here. He's here a lot. Dan, let him hear your voice.
Hello.
And Evan Wheaton, what's up, my man?
Hey, happy holidays.
So now you guys, if you're a regular listener to the podcast, like Josh Oswald or any of those guys or gals, you know who they are anyway, but if you're new, you'll know who they are when they talk. Guys, I know Dan and Ep tried to put this football season in perspective. We've wrapped things up, and this week got Stone Saunders coming up here in a little bit as our guest. But what a football season. I'm sad it's gone, but any thoughts post-football season here and how we're feeling?
It's just a fun, long but fun season. It's nice warming up indoors. It gets a little cold out last couple of weeks, so, still thawing out, but long season, fun season. Bittersweet to see it over, but capped off with a pretty awesome slate of state championships.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is that we probably got the best slate of state championship games. I mean, I talked to App. I haven't covered it since they went to 6A, but it's got to be, top to bottom, probably the best overall slate of games they've had in terms of volume. 2 overtime games when going into this weekend. The past weekend, there have been 8 total in the state championship history. So it was kind of symbolic of the whole season where, a lot that was up in the air for a lot of parts of it, whether it be eligibility issues, injuries, if a team was going to right the ship, if a team was for real or not. I felt like there was a lot more drama than maybe in years past, where it felt like there were a bunch of teams just waiting all year to be crowned. So it was a fun year where a lot of teams had to battle through stuff.
Yeah, there were 3 first-time state champions. So, it's always cool whenever someone wins their first. So,
well, Evan, why don't you break down your unofficial? Evan put out on social media his unofficial rankings of the state championship games, because as we've outlined here, for the first time in a long time, there were actually competitive state football championship games, which to your point, like, legitimized the end of the year. Sometimes, as Dan just said, it's just the coronation. It's coronation day. What fun is that? I actually want those competitive games. So Evan had the wise thought to, why don't I rank them?
Evan Wheaton's unofficial rankings: Bishop McDevitt, Roman Catholic, which we'll certainly get into here in this episode, but 5A, that's number 1 first and foremost. Not just because we obviously cover Bishop McDevitt, but that game was insane. It's the craziest game I've ever covered. I'm only 28, not as old as you guys, but that's the craziest game I've ever covered. 3A, Northwestern Lehigh versus Avonworth. Another overtime humdinger, as Epler would call it. That one, Northwestern Lehigh, undefeated season, first state title. Really cool little revenge story last year. They got scored on in the opening kickoff against Bell Vernon, and from there, just the wheels fell off. So, and I was telling the guys at Cumberland Valley, like, the cover of the programs was that play. So I was wondering, inwardly, like, how much that might have been haunting them.
They didn't know I asked them. They had no idea.
Well, I noticed it. They, out of sight, out of mind, they won a state title. So good for them. That was number 2. Troy versus Central Clarion. That was another, those top 3 games, that one at 2A, that one also came down to the very last play. Not quite overtime, but still down to the very last play. And then Bonner Prendy versus Lampeter Strasburg. Bonner Prendy winning its first state title, 4A. And 5A, I had Bishop Guilfoyle versus Port Allegheny, 1A. And then number 6, 6A, St. Joe's Prep, Pittsburgh Central Catholic. So those are my rankings. Those top 3 were money.
A couple of things I noticed. You didn't put it in the headline on PennLive. Come on, Evan.
Well, that's my opinion,
You could, you might have got somebody on the site,
You're literally allowed to post that, Evan.
Evan loves giving stuff out for free.
Then you called us old and rolled out the word humdinger.
I did call all of you old and then used an old term, humdinger.
Right. Some of the
I could have said howitzer.
Terms that you break out is wild.
I could have said howitzer.
You're legendary on Twitter to some people just because of your use of language, aka using terms from the Depression era.
Evan is an old soul.
That's true.
Also, I'm only 2 years older than you, so it's not like...
Well,
But I am a Grinch, so
just give me a warning of what age things start slowing down, and I'll brace myself for it.
Let's talk about, and I'll say this. To me, you guys were right. This was actually, I think, there were a couple lopsided. Like we expect this thing. I mean, Central Catholic is a good St. Joe's to run, but you always expect St. Joe's Prep to kind of beat up on whoever now. And my thoughts are my thoughts there. I made them clear on the podcast, and every year they get in those debates and about it, and I watch them. But I thought it was the funnest state championship weekend since I've been in Pennsylvania. As far as we had a couple games that were really kind of classic type games that you'll remember forever. I'll tell you two things I wanted to touch on too, guys. We had a couple things come down the pipe here. First of all, I wanted to touch on Micah Parsons. I don't know if you guys saw, obviously some trade rumors out there around him, and he's kind of addressed those, said he wanted to be a Cowboy for life, and then he's out there doing his Micah Claus thing with his Lionheart Foundation, I believe it's called. He's raising money, but getting kind of weird with our guy Micah in Dallas, Dan.
This is what happens when you're a Dallas Cowboy. Like you're just gonna have drama until you don't, and then you have drama again. Jerry Jones liked it. It's just what it is, and
drama keeps it spicy, man.
Like he's. I think we've talked about it. There are reasons for it, but I'm sure he's kind of frustrated that he's probably having his least productive season that he's had, kind of at like a pretty big stage, which I think he's getting doubled a lot now with a lot of the injuries. He's been banged up too, and it's been not an ideal season for Micah and the Cowboys, but they are playing better now. We'll see how it ends, but this NFL stuff is cyclical. Unless you're Aaron Donald, it doesn't feel like there's any player that just goes through every single season just dominating week after week after week and has everything go right, and then you get paid, and then you get the extension, everything. There's always going to be a holdout or something. And even Aaron Donald had to hold out to get his money. So I just kind of tune out NFL trade rumors at this point because they've so rarely manifest in anything.
So rumors are just that, rumors.
Well, what I can say, like I said, Noah Micah, it's kind of funny. Like when he went into the NBA celebrity basketball game last year, and I said he's going to go win MVP because he's ultra competitive. This has been the first year he's really not been on a winning team to any degree. I know it's eating him up. You saw him walk off the field frustrated. I've been watching him. I think he's banged up, and I think their defense is soft up the middle. There's a lot of things going on with Dallas. It's funny. And I think there's a weird thing here too, where Jerry Jones is almost like aggressively now trying to be like, do opposite of probably what he should do. Like he doesn't want to spend money, and he doesn't want, now he's even talking about bringing McCarthy back, Dan, which is wild to me.
I mean, I watched the New England Patriots, so Mike McCarthy is practically Vince Lombardi compared to what's going on in New England. So I can't really blame anybody for not hiring and not firing a coach that isn't the New England Patriots head coach.
It'll be interesting to see. Micah's our guy. He's always been good to us. He's a great player. Kind of the first time we've really seen him face any kind of adversity. That'll be something to watch. Another one I wanted to bring up, Brennan Marion, who we've had on the podcast here, former Waynesboro head coach here in the Mid-Penn Conference. Not that long ago, Dan, 8, 9 years ago, maybe?
Definitely before I was down in Franklin County, but only a couple years before that.
Pitt Panthers a couple years, and he's been with some big programs. Had a really good run at UNLV, helping that program get turned around as their offensive coordinator. And he has the go offense. Named a head coach at Sacramento State. Eric Epler. He didn't think that was that big of a deal today when we talked to him, Sostek, but there's a lot of noise around Sacramento State. Like I don't think people understand it. Like they're trying to make a push here, right? And Brennan is one of the top young offensive minds in the country. And I think this is an exciting position for him.
I had first heard about the Sacramento State push to become like some relevant athletic program when apparently they hired Uriah Faber to try to start an MMA program down there and invested a ton of money in that. So they clearly have some rich benefactors. And I know they've been trying to get into the new mutant Pac-12, which is not the Pac-12. It's just it's more like the Mountain West now, but it still would be a big deal for a school that hasn't really been D1 before to kind of get there. But as we've seen, I mean, this is what I've been talking about kind of with the Bill Belichick thing, which about, is he going to do well in college? I'm like, well, they raised $20 million the second he put pen to paper. So he's already doing pretty well in college because you can go into lots of other stuff, but that's really what that In this current climate, in terms of talent accumulation, that's what matters now is how much money your program has in it. You're not keeping guys if you don't have money. If Sacramento State has the money they say they have, they're going to be good, and they're going to be good quick. And Brennan Marion's going to be able to either turn that program into something really special, because that's what pretty much everywhere he's gone, the program has been better for it. So he'll either do that and, be there for a while, or he'll get the program good quick and, become a Power 5 coach. So I think it's a really great spot for him. I think he's the perfect type of guy too, to be the face of this new upstart program, because he's a really good promoting his players, promoting, what his offense is. And it's going to be really fun to watch, especially in, that sort of environment. So I think it's a perfect fit.
Dan, when was the first time you heard that there was an influx of cash at Sacramento State? Because I hadn't heard this. You schooled me up earlier on it, and
Adam Schefter had tweeted about it yesterday. But like I said, I had heard about the Uriah Faber MMA thing like a year ago. I didn't even know Sacramento State was a school. And he went on some podcast and was talking about how they want to create some sort of college MMA league or something along those lines, which is an interesting idea considering how big that sport is. But I was like, why are they doing that at Sacramento State? Apparently they have some rich alumni. So
okay. Because I just looked it up. The program was only 3-9 this past year. So it seems like it's probably a total rebuild, but it's good to get in on the ground floor than the top floor when
so is Colorado, and Deion Sanders. Yeah. Deion Sanders.
I watched them play like San Jose State earlier this year. I might have knew somebody had a few dollars on that one. It gets bad sometimes,
The struggle's real.
Sometimes it's late at night, you're bored, and Sacramento State's playing San Jose State. You know how it goes.
You just buttons start clicking, and next thing you know,
I don't think they were terrible. I know they went 3-9, but it was a fun game. But there was some debate. I think Schefter said like $50 million, but I think that's over a period of time.
It's not fair. It can't be. Everybody who knows anything about NIL said that would be almost 3 times the size of Ohio State's NIL. So it can't possibly be. If it is that, then they probably would have hired someone that's a bigger name than Brennan Marion, I imagine. So,
or Brennan Marion will somehow be able to pay Tom Brady to play quarterback at San Jose State.
I don't think you want that. But
would you imagine you'd want someone more mobile than that?
Yeah. I think
whatever.
Yeah.
So that's a fun one to watch. I know almost all the coaches in Pennsylvania know Brennan Marion. A lot of players do. You're probably going to see. I'd be shocked, because even you saw some UNLV offers popping up in Pennsylvania, Dan, when Brennan was there. He's kind of kept a consistent eye on Pennsylvania. That's a long way away over in Sacramento State, but wouldn't shock me to see some Sacramento State offers popping up, because he's always had a warm spot for the Keystone State. Final one I'll throw out there, and I'm sure the Penn State guys talked about it some, but Beau Pribula this week announced he's transferring. We got the transfer window. Austin, I know you've been working with the Penn State guys too, but want to bring him up. He's had a really good relationship with us in the past, Central York kid, which is right out our back door here at Penn Live. I know I did some stories with Beau going into Penn State. That kid loved Penn State. Okay, I saw Coach Jason Brown, who is a moron. Jason Brown from, Last Chance U, he is a moron. He is the dumbest person on Twitter. And that's no exaggeration. Can you think anybody dumber?
I'm not getting in on it. Your slander lawsuit is your own personal slander lawsuit.
That's an opinion whether or not you're dumb.
Yeah. Well, you said it's not an opinion. You said it was a fact, so I'm not getting it.
Whatever. It is a fact. But anyway, here we go. He rips Beau Pribula. He clearly doesn't know a lot about the situation. I think James Franklin's kind of spoken up for the kid. I have no doubt he wanted to be at Penn State. Drew Aller's coming back. Drew Aller's going to be the starter. This kid has competed. He's been there 3 years, worked his butt off. I don't have a problem with a kid, who knows he's not going to start, who can start, going somewhere. I think the system is flawed as can be, to where you have to declare during the season. It's ridiculous. And I don't think it's fair to the kid. He's taking some heat from people who are saying things. You know what? Jim Litkey, the old AP columnist, told me, guys, good advice. He said, if you don't know expletive about expletive, don't write expletive. Okay? So fill in the blanks there. And there's a lot of people who don't know, who really don't understand the situation, or don't know anything about the kid or his situation, we're just like beating them up. I think it's ridiculous. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I get the frustration with the situation, right? Like I get like people are upset that, because he is an actual part of their packages that they use him in and everything. So I get people being upset with the situation, but I don't get how you're upset with the individual. Like that's kind of what my stance is. It's like, especially the type of football Beau Pribula plays and the packages they use him in as a mobile quarterback, where any given play he could have a safety dive at his knees, torn ACL, is going to miss all next year. All of a sudden, there's no one to offer him for his senior year. He has to basically rehab at Penn State, redshirt, and then his senior year is one of those where you're rehabbing back and everything, and then every game they say, "Oh, he had a torn ACL a year ago," and that becomes part of the storyline. At the end of the day, he's a minor part of what Penn State does. He's an important part, but he's a minor part of this current team. He wants to be a major part, and basically what everything goes around, and it's his responsibility to find that spot and put himself in the best position in that spot. And the only way to do it with his new calendar is to do it right now. And I've already seen where he's looking at Missouri, where he could team up with Matt Zollers. I actually think that'd be a really great fit for both guys. I think Matt Zollers could learn a lot from Beau. I think they're a little different. I think Beau might be even more kind of run tilted than Zollers is, but still Matt's obviously a mobile quarterback as well. And I saw the other one that I thought was kind of interesting. I think if he went to this place, I think it would at least make the anger a little more justifiable as a fan. He's visiting Iowa, which is on Penn State's schedule. So I feel like that one is the one that it would feel like he's kind of rubbing some salt into the wounds a little bit, because then you end up, because they're on their actual schedule next year. But even then, it's like, that's a good football program that has always been a quarterback away, right, from being relevant. So our area, we now deal with his high school coach, Josh Oswald, all the time. He's probably listening to this podcast right now. Anyone who goes up to Cumberland Valley and asks Josh anything about Beau Pribula will tell him great things. And this is something that Cade Pribula now does broadcasting around the area. He's still around the area too. This is a family that's really tied to Pennsylvania. So I don't think that they would be doing this unless it was really in their best interest.
Kids are jumping around a lot. And I'm, like I said, I always lean favor to players. Let's say the adults created the system. They have forever to get in front of this kind of stuff, and they didn't.
Yeah.
Now college football is essentially just a series of one-year contracts for real. This kid isn't. And some kids are jumping around trying to get the bag, right? This isn't the case for this kid. This kid's just, I think, trying to play some football after he did compete and put into work.
You know who is staying, though? Former PA High School Football Report podcast guest, Jasir Whittington. He is staying at Pitt. So,
but Brian, what you say is so correct, where sometimes I think it is players trying to get the bag and better their situation in a selfish way. But it was very clear, and you saw how many teammates, coaches came out to defend Beau and sing his praise on how great of a teammate he was, because he was put in an impossible situation with needing to go find the new spot in light of all the factors. And there were actually murmurs that this is how it was all going to play out ahead of the news breaking this past week, that Drew Aller was going to be coming back, and then that Pribula was going to be forced into this impossible spot. And it's the new calendar of the CFP playoffs, and it's the calendar of when the transfer portal opens. And Johnny McGonigal, one of our Penn State writers, actually wrote a really good column bringing light to all the pieces of the situation, and that Pribula is not the one to blame here. It is a systemic failure, and it's part of the entire puzzle that college football is finding itself in, of everything has changed, but they haven't actually figured out how to realign all the elements so that people aren't put into these terrible spots. So, yeah, this is a good spot, good indicator of a sympathetic figure in the transfer world of 2024 in college football.
I'll throw a couple other quick notes out there. I just saw Bryce Carter, former Steel High star, re-signed with the Ottawa Red Blacks for 2 years. So good for him. Dante Kent, Harrisburg kid. Brother Ronald's in the Canadian Football League. He's been on the podcast. Have a great relationship with Dante. He has Central Michigan corner. Really good player. He has announced he's entering the NFL draft. Not sure what his draft stock's looking like. I know he's a heck of a player. I know he's really fast. So I think he's probably going to get an opportunity at the next level. A little bit bigger than Ronald too, and that's gonna help him some. So, guys, we got all that down. Let's hop into our interview with our guest, PA's passing king, Stone Saunders. All right, guys, we're here with our guest this week, and really for the second time in 3 weeks, Evan?
Something like that, yeah.
I guess he's PA's passing king now. We used to give that title to Alex Irby, and Alex had a great career. And, but now we got Stone Saunders here, Bishop McDevitt quarterback, state champ, 2-time, thrilling game against Roman Catholic, winning in overtime. Last time, Stone, we had you on, we were talking about the what ifs and what it would be like. And now that this is done, we wanted to bring you back on. Now that you won that second state championship, now that you have a handful of passing yardage, all-time passing yardage, all-time touchdown passes. Well, there's like one or two other ones I missed.
Completions, right?
Yeah, completions. Actually, it was that pass to Gage Ruth right towards the end. That was the one that did it.
So, we wanted to get you on here and actually talk about it. I guess, first of all, is it all kind of set in for you, and what is all this been? Now, look, not to mention, like we were talking about last night, you also signed with Kentucky going into the game that week. So, like, it's been a huge run for you the last couple of weeks, man. What has all this been like, and what have all the emotions been like?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a blur just the past couple of weeks altogether. Like you said, signing, then the game, and then all the stuff that comes with winning the game, the weekend, hanging out with friends, stuff like that. So, I mean, yeah, it was all good stuff. I mean, a lot of fun. Really got to spend time with, like the students and faculty and some of my coaches this week because, it's my last week of school before I have to head off to Kentucky. So, but yeah, I mean, I'll say it's set in. I'll say the state championship set in we had a pep rally yesterday, and like I got to hold the trophy again. It was like the first time I touched a trophy since the game, so that's when it really set in that we won it again. So with the records and stuff, that'll probably take a while. I don't really think about any of that stuff yet, but when me and my teammates got to celebrate again yesterday, it was pretty fun. We all got to just enjoy the moment.
You had talked a lot about trying to win this one for the seniors who came before you, having guys like Rico Scott, Chase Regan, all those guys on the sideline during the state championship. What was it like to have them there, to have that support during a game like that, and then the celebration after, of course?
Yeah, I mean, that was the best moment, maybe, of the whole thing. I mean, the picture that PennLive that you guys got of me, Chase, and Owen at the end where he's like jumping up and like karate kicking me is like, that's hilarious. Like, best picture ever. Yeah, I mean, it was great. I probably shouldn't have talked to them during the game, but like I'm really like a relaxed, like I'm not all like tensed up on the sideline or nothing like that during the game. So I mean, I was talking to them during it. They all mauled me after I got the passing yards. Like I came to the sideline, I got jumped by like everybody because they all knew it was the record breaker. Yeah, I mean, it was great to have those guys that have been with me throughout the whole career. And they still support me and support this team. And that's the one thing about McDevitt, the alumni, they keep coming back, and everybody just, wants the McDevitt guys to keep winning that come after them.
Stone, obviously nothing's going to be able to simulate what it's going to be like, playing in an SEC football game or anything like that. But how big do you think it's going to be for your future to not have only played in one state championship game, not two, but to have played in 3 of these games, to have dealt with all different kind of scenarios in this game. The first one where you're trailing the whole time, the second one where you kind of lead and had to hold on, the third one where it's back and forth, and then that late swing at the end. And just in these high stakes moments, have you kind of taken stock of kind of accumulating all these big reps and big time moments?
It's funny. Like I tell people this story, and I don't think anybody really believes me. But after that pick 6 happened, like I almost felt better after it happened than before. Like I was like, all right, we're gonna get the ball back, and now it's on them to stop us.
Yeah,
we just came out and we were ready to go after the pick 6 happened. And I would say yes. Like I mean, overtime. I've never felt so comfortable. Like that overtime in the state championship game, I was just ready to go, like all calm. And me and Weck were just talking. We were having a normal conversation before the coin toss. So yeah, I would think for sure the playing in these big games have helped me. I mean, the Commonwealth this year definitely helped me too. I mean, the big games it just is another game usually now. Yeah. Like going to State College and Harrisburg and all that. So, I mean, it's been great. But I have a feeling that's not going to be anything like going on the road in the SEC, if I had to guess. So I'll see. I'll definitely let you guys know when it's my turn. But I just have a feeling that if I have to go to Tennessee or Texas or anything like that, that it might be a a little bit different than 4,000 people at the game than 100 and some. So, but we'll see.
Dude, even Williams-Brice Stadium, where Tyshawn was playing, I'm from South Carolina.
Oh my gosh, they get loud.
I've covered many games there, and even when that team wins 4 games, that stadium is 80,000 packed and rocking. So, it's funny you brought up the pick six, because I was going to ask you about that, man. Like, you did so much good in that game, and it always get like caught up in that with big time players. Like, you guys are winning the ball game. You had such a great game. You've broken a couple records. Here comes the pick six. You kind of talked about it a little bit there, but like, what was running through your mind? Why did you feel a little bit better then? Because like for me, I always get fascinated how like top athletes handle those situations mentally. Like, you've done everything so great in your career, and now you have real adversity real late, right? Because you all of a sudden it looks like you guys might be in trouble.
Right.
So like, what was going through your mind exactly? How did you handle it? Like you said, you handled it, and how were you guys able to come back and win that game?
Yeah, I mean, I think to answer that, I got to take it back to the Harrisburg game. I had a chance to keep that game going at the end, and I missed the throw that, I could probably make with my eyes closed. And, things like that, they just happen. And, we came into practice on Monday, and, this is why, like, I love Coach Weck. Like, he came in on practice, and we had a team meeting, and it was like, look, on those great, like, Chicago Bulls teams, like, who took the last shot? And everybody was like, Michael Jordan. He was like, all right, well, this year Stones are Michael Jordan. He's going to take the last shot every game we have. So, that just instilled, like, Coach White has a great job of instilling confidence in people. And, that gave me confidence for the rest of the year. And, I knew, like, I kept telling people, I was like, look, it's going to come at a point where I'm going to have a chance to win a game by doing something. Because, like, I always have to think, like, when something bad happens, something good's going to happen. So I knew there was going to be a chance to redeem myself from the Harrisburg game. And, the pick six happened. Jonte was a little banged up. So he came out of his break a little weird, and, you can't practice that stuff. Like, stuff like that's just going to happen. So, got tipped up, tried to catch him, almost got him, almost got him. But, came to the sideline, and, I just told everybody, get away from the warmer. I had to warm my hands up, and I brought the offense together. I was like, look, I need your best 3 minutes here, and we're going to go get this done. And, I don't know. I mean, I felt very calm in the moment. Like, I didn't feel like, Jonte made a big play. I think it was like on third down. We ran it the first 2 times. He made a big play, got us up there. And, I just felt like, it was like our time. It was my time to show that, I can go win this game. And, we got it done. And it was more legendary that the pick six happened and we got a chance to go down there and kick a field goal and kick it in overtime.
Saying what you said about Jeff Wechter and knowing how he's had your back and really pushed you through your career. He got beat up after that Dallas loss last year on social media and stuff. Did it feel a little bit better being able to get him another state championship too, knowing your relationship with him?
Yeah. I for sure wanted to win one more for Weck. It's just he's just done so much for me. I just thought, he told me we were going to win a state championship when I was just got in the 9th grade, and we won 1, so we might as well make it 2. And then but me and him, we worked so hard, through every offseason, especially after the Dallas game, because we knew like we were going to face all the critics and everything like that, and which is like reasonable. Like, we shouldn't have lost that game, but so we were in the film room like right away when the season ended, and we just went to work, and he put in so much work, and he deserves all of it. So.
What was kind of the evolution of your relationship with Dom Diaz-Ellis? I thought it was like kind of poetic that he was on the receiving end of both of those state records. Last year he had just 3 catches, and obviously he was ineligible for postseason and this and that. But, this year it looked like you two just had a heck of a connection. And I know I've asked you kind of something similar, before, but, now that the whole season's in the rear view and you're kind of reflecting on all of it, what was kind of the growth for you two guys from spring training at Cedar Cliff and then like state championship?
Yeah, I think we both just saw how hard each other worked. I saw it. It's funny. Like, I got my wisdom teeth out, I think, like 2 weeks before camp started. And like 2 days later, he was like, yo, come to Millersville and let's get some work. And, I probably shouldn't have, but, we went down and we got some work. So, it's just that, we just want a ball. Like, we're just guys that, like, we care about nothing else but ball. And, I love Dom. He deserves everything that he's going to get. And he's going to be a great player in college when he gets his shot. But he just worked so hard, and we had a couple conversations where it was like, we need to get it this year. Like it was like, and if it's gonna happen, like I'm gonna give him the chance. Like I'm gonna come to him when it's the time. So I mean, State College, he really confirmed himself as to be that guy, and he just had a great year, and he deserves all of it.
Yeah, another guy on the offense that I feel like kind of really, everyone knew he was good all year. Yeah, but Swoops he played it. We said, he was kind of on that borderline, for maybe all-state recognition. I don't think there's any doubt now that the kid is going to be on that team when it's all said and done. Just obviously it's a committee, with Maurice, who obviously does a great job. I know Evans kind of compared him to Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs a little bit on the Lions. But how impressed have you been with him, especially, with Venny going out, how much more responsibilities even had on the defensive end too, just the postseason he had, how much it helps you as a quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, well, one, he had, one of the best linebacker seasons in this area. I mean, he played great at linebacker this year. But Swoop deserves everything. He should get all state. He should get everything. I mean, he's a dog. I said about Dom, how he just wants the ball. That's Swoop. Swoop, all he cares about is ball. And that kid's going to get offers, and he's going to be a great player in college. Because there's just not many people like him. Like, he just has a different mentality where he's going to get his regardless of what happens. So, there was times where he didn't really have a hole in that Roman Catholic game. He just made something happen. Like, I mean, we got an 8-yard gain out of what should have been something for like a loss of 4 when he went through like 10 guys and threw them on the ground. So he's a special player. He's a special person too. Great guy. But yeah, he deserves everything he can. I mean, in my eyes, he's the best running back. He's the best running back I played with and the best running back I've seen in high school. So he deserves everything he's going to get. And, just can't wait to see what he holds this next year. And, it's his turn now. So he holds the crown next year. Him, Reese, Jakai, a couple of those other young guys. But I think they'll hold it down.
So, and this was something that came up in a conversation amongst us earlier, which was the way that you were able to maintain playing with a chip on your shoulder. There was a line that you would sometimes hearken to about kind of being overlooked early on in your career and what informed your decision. But I'm interested to learn more about maintaining that chip on your shoulder. And even though you won a state title, received all these accolades, you always found a way to keep that driving you. How do you view that chip on the shoulder piece for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just that really no one gave me a chance. No one really believed in me, like, to be a high school quarterback, which is kind of a corny thing to say because, like, it's a high school quarterback. But, it's kind of true. Like, no one really gave me a shot to play any school that I was talking, like any high school. They all had kids that played quarterback, and they all had their guys already. Which, I mean, some of them didn't have really a choice. Like, it was just their guy. So, I was just looking around, and then my dad got in contact with a friend who was an alumni of McDevitt. And he said, well, I don't know if they have anybody, so, just go give them a shot. And so it just went from there. But, I think it comes from that. And then, I just, you hear everything people say, regardless if you want to hear it or not. You don't hear everything, but you're gonna listen to some of it. And it's just it's fun to prove people wrong. It's nice to not let them have anything to say about you too. Like I think I left high school with, not a lot of people could say, I mean, they'll find something, but I think I did pretty well.
Well, what was the worst thing you heard about you? Like, what was the most ridiculous thing or the most thing, like the biggest put down you heard?
That's a good question. I would say so. I think my junior year it really picked up. Where like my freshman and sophomore year, people were like, "Oh, this kid's like," because I was young. I think they didn't really like hate on me that much. But then junior year, it picked up a good bit when we just skid by Manhattan Central and then lost to Dallas. Yeah, I mean, you try not to see it, but like you go on Instagram, you look at your notifications, see comments, you just go look because you think it's like one of your friends maybe, and it was not. So, but I don't really know. I mean, the overrated stuff, you just like that's just funny to me, like the overrated and all the stuff that you hear during games. But I remember I was told that I couldn't lead. That one hurt me a little bit, so I got better in that because that's kind of one thing as a quarterback you really take pride in is having your guys follow you. So I think I led these young guys this year pretty well to a state championship. So I think
that was one of the things. That was one of the things that you said, like in the very first conversation we had in that preseason workout session at Cedar Cliff. You had said, like, you being a senior now, roster being a lot younger than years past. What's it been like, kind of trying to become that leader that you've sort of become?
I mean, it was awesome. I just kind of I forced them. I forced the young guys to just do what I knew they had to do. I forced some of them to come work out even when they didn't want to work out. I would go pick them up from their house and drive them back over to where I worked out on my the Mechanicsburg. So we just found a way to get our work in the summer and off season and the season, and even I remember we had a meeting. Because we go out for specialties for warm-ups at the state championship game, and it was a couple of the linemen and the receivers, and I was like, look, this is why I was on you guys all year. I remember I was I looked at my center, Jude, I was like, this is why I yelled at you one time in walkthrough, a walkthrough for no reason, to get to this stage and to do what we're about to do. So, I would say, I think if I asked them if me being hard on them all year was worth it, I think they would say yes now because of the benefits that we got from it. But, I really think watching those shows or the Tom Brady shows, The Last Dance and stuff, it takes a lot to lead. And so I think it takes a special person, and I'm just going to try to keep getting better at that. I'm going to come in Kentucky and be the young guy, so I'm just going to work my way up.
Yeah, speaking about Kentucky too, obviously you signed a couple weeks ago, and I mean this climate today in college football is insane. You look at the portal and everything. And I imagine at the quarterback position in particular, it's even crazier because, every team, it feels like, is looking to get that, transfer senior experienced quarterback in there at the higher levels. I was just wondering what your experience was like, kind of obviously committing pretty early on, at least relatively early on. And, how solid have you always been with Kentucky, and just, has there ever been any kind of stress about, seeing the portal, seeing rumors about stuff, seeing coordinators change, things like that? Or has it been pretty smooth for you overall?
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely been rocky. I mean, for sure. I think I committed pretty early. When I committed, I don't think it was as crazy as it is now. It was 2 years ago. Now it's pretty wild. But, I was there through an offense coordinator change. A couple coaches left. 2 new quarterbacks and stuff like that. So, I've just stuck behind Coach Stoops, this whole time. And he knows that if he was there, I was going to come. And, I'm excited to go play for him. He's a great guy, a great leader. So, I mean, yeah, what you said with the portal, we got a guy. I think we got to commit. Today he got 1 year left at quarterback. So, he's pretty experienced, it looks like. So it'll be good to come in, maybe learn from him and, just try to work my way up the depth chart. Because I'm not expecting anything as a freshman. I'm coming and just work my butt off and, just try to keep climbing and do whatever the coaches say.
Yeah, that's Malik Murphy from Duke, who was at Texas before then too. So
I think we got – I don't think he's coming because something about NIL or something like that. I think we're getting the guy from Incarnate Word, maybe.
Where Cam Ward was.
Yeah, I think he has 1 year left, I think.
there's not Incarnate Word producing these quarterbacks now.
Yeah, I know, right?
QBU.
Does anybody know what position that is? Who do they play?
Incarnate Word. I think are they NAIA?
I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, whoever they play, they create good quarterbacks. And Cam Ward is something.
I have a deal on my TV where I get all the games too, so I watch crazy games sometimes. I've seen them play, but
Yeah.
Houston Baptist and stuff like that is crazy. So
San Antonio.
Listen, 2-time state champ, Pennsylvania's passing king. It's been a great career, Stone. Guys, I think, we appreciate you having on the podcast here, Stone. And, man, it's been a great career. It's been fun covering you. And like I said, we've always been appreciative of the time you've given us.
Yeah, Stone, I think you were I always tell people this when they ask me how long I've been at PennLive. I was like, well, my first game was Stone Saunders' first game, so I must be 4 years. So
it's cool. You were there for his first game and his last game.
Yeah,
Cool. That's pretty cool.
All right, guys, that was Stone Saunders, our special guest for this week. So I guess, first of all, what did we learn there? What did we take away from our interview with Stone?
is this arena class?
I think he owes PennLive a few bucks for all the media training, because he is so polished, polished quarterback, polished interviewee, and I mean that in the opposite way. I told him how appreciative I am of how gracious Stone has been with his time for our PennLive crew. It's really special when that top kid still values what you do. There could have been years ago where he was like, I'm bigger than this. I don't need to talk to these guys. I've won a state title. I'm on course to be a PA passing king. It's not that. He's struck that beautiful balance of staying hungry, being accomplished, staying humble. I just think you love to see the elite ones still get it. So
Look no further than just a couple weeks ago. So, like on the week of the state championship and signing day, crazy chaotic week after a long day of school, a long day of practice, and then our meet the team photo shoot at McDevitt. He still found the time to come to the PennLive office for some photo stuff, which I imagine.
Well, to be fair, he's
week.
getting his photo taken by Sean Simmers, who made CNN's photo of the year. So it is a little bit of a privilege to get shot by the legendary Sean. But yeah, I mean, I think my takeaway from that was also just, we kept trying to get him to talk about the records, and maybe it is that press training. He's dealt with some. He's not 100%. He admitted in the interview he had he's had some quotes, that have kind of gotten a specific side of the state angry at times. But I think he knows with the records that it's the numbers and the stats. They're probably not going to last forever. And they're not just his. They're Rico Scott's and Chase Reagan's and Mario Easterly's and all these countless guys. But what lasts forever are those championships. And you could tell, I think the takeaway when Brian said he couldn't really remember any of the records, but he instantly knew his win-loss record. And I think that kind of says a lot about, what Stone kind of, especially as he got older. I think this year was the prime example of how much he valued winning, how okay he was with there being games where he would throw the ball 12 times and turn around and give the ball to Nazir Jones Davis 40 times because Nazir Jones Davis was just balling. I think Stone kind of learned that alchemy perfectly, and it's going to serve him really well.
Guys, again, great career. It's been a great story to follow. PA's passing king. Not a lot more you can say about the kid. He's really smart. Some of the things he said in a couple of our interviews here have really resonated. He's really competitive. And he will take a shot every now and then verbally. He will jab the guys a little bit. So it's always fun to interview him. Like you said, the Whippeal might not love him, Dan, but Quippa does.
Al Quippa does, yeah.
Yeah, and they went to war in some state championships, so that's fun. Real quick, I don't know if we're gonna. This may be. I don't know our schedule. I think this may be our final podcast before Christmas. It may not be. We're recording right now, December the 18th. So everybody have a happy Christmas. We got two quick new segments I wanted to introduce. One was omelets with Evan Wheaton. Evan has an adoration for omelets. He is a big omelet guy. Evan, what is the recommended omelet heading into Christmas? Are we going fluffy? How are we cooking this thing up? Go.
Well, you could do it however your preference is. My style. If I'm cooking your omelet, you tell me how you want it. And then what I usually do is spinach, tomatoes, got to throw some pepper in there. You get creative with it. Sometimes you got to switch it up, but it all comes down to
creative.
preference.
It's the veggie omelet.
Well, you could throw bacon in there if you want. It's just that's the kind that I.
Which brings us to our other segment. As you see, Dan has a gift.
As you can see, Dan right there.
Dan has a gift for kind of breaking people down. So Dan, we go into our final
perfect segue,
which is Pump the Brakes with Dan Sostek. And what is something that everybody's happy about?
Screw your omelets, and here's why.
In their life and sports that they shouldn't really be happy about at all.
I'm going to plead the fifth on this one because I'm still not comfortable enough to go public with some of my. You put me on the spot. I could think of something, but
perfect way to finish the year and bring the Christmas cheer is Pump the Brakes with Dan.
Yeah, Pump the Brakes. Dan has a gift for.
I'm not talking about Tyler Warren. We're not doing this right now.
Oh, you're excited for Christmas? Let me tell you why it's a dumb holiday centered around capitalism.
Oh, I am Jewish, so.
Dan
Edit that out.
Dan has a gift for telling you why all your happy thoughts about your favorite team or player are really bad.
Well, we agree about everything with the Patriots, so there's that.
Pump the Brakes with Dan Sostek. If anybody listens to this podcast, which I haven't looked at the numbers, anybody at all, and you want to hear Pump the Brakes with Dan Sostek, where he just spends 15 minutes every week on Penn Live destroying something that everybody's happy about in the sports world. I've been pushing for this for a while, and you should let us know. I think the world needs this.
You know what? Actually, I was thinking from our meeting earlier. Go ahead, Dan.
I don't like the in-season tournament, but I think that's kind of popular. I think that's a common take. The in-season tournament stinks. The NBA in-season tournament's all.
How about this 4-game or 3-game All-Star tournament? So now instead of one awful game of guys just not carrying and competing, now we're going to have 3 or 4 All-Star games.
Yeah, I feel like me complaining about this stuff is just this isn't actually the idea of the original podcast. This is just kind of being a boomer.
No, it's kind of like Andy Rooney. You should destroy stuff. This is no kids in America, let alone Pennsylvania, probably know who Andy Rooney is.
I know
who Andy Rooney. Come on and do what you do and just destroy it. Yeah, I know you do. I'm sure you do.
I actually have an idea for a podcast here. Brian versus Dan, and it's called NSFW Battle. And people have to pay to have the battle be that you guys do on a weekly basis for our meetings or whatever. Yeah, exactly. We can do a Twitch stream with you guys battling it out, unfiltered. There we go.
As you're playing NCAA 25.
And we'll be happy to know that I actually have the lyrics over here copied and pasted and ready for the program that I'm now making the Pump the Brakes podcast with Dan Sostek intro. Because as Dan knows, and you guys probably don't know, the only music I now listen to is AI music.
Yeah, you know what you do? Oh my God.
Not myself or people I know.
You're destroying the environment doing that. Using every AI song you create is destroying a barrier.
A song about Nebby playing me in basketball, which Nebby thought was hilarious. He's pretty good.
You are wasting precious resources to make songs that one person listens to.
We're gonna and by the way, producer Megan, this program I'm on says I have commercial license because I paid for these.
You paid for? Oh my gosh!
You paid to make an AI song about Dan hating stuff?
A month. It's $9.99 a month.
That's a lot.
I can make 20 a day.
That's like,
it's free. Learning how to play a musical is
not a lot. It's not a lot for a baller like me, son.
I can't. Oh man, I can't do this.
I apologize to our lawyers.
I stack my paper. It ain't nothing but money to me. Hey, have a Merry Christmas. Austin, tell them how to find you on social media.
I mean, you can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Austin Hertzog. Email me, ahertzog@PennLive.com. And I'd like to tell everyone Merry Christmas, and I'm glad that Brian is not one of my direct reports.
Yeah. Dan Sostek, tell them how to find you.
Dan_Sostek on Twitter, X. I think I'm on Blue Sky. I've forgotten to post on that for a while. It's hard to do both.
And he's going to start tweeting out once a day things that people should pump the brakes on that everybody thinks they're happy about in sports, but they really shouldn't be.
Doesn't have to be just sports. He hates ice cream.
I don't hate ice cream.
It's just overrated.
Yeah, look,
It's overrated.
Look, he loves Andy Rooney. He hates ice cream. Dan Sostek.
I actually don't like pizza very much, but
oh my god,
he doesn't like pizza.
Yeah, it's not that good. It's definitely like a waste calories.
And it's like, Dewey Cox the movie. It's like, turns all your good salt, your bad salt good or whatever. It's like the opposite. It's like Dan turns all your good salt bad.
Well, Merry Christmas. I do, even though I don't celebrate, I do like Christmas, and I like all.
Yeah, you're Hanukkah,
likes
right?
it.
Yep.
wow.
So you're into Hanukkah.
I probably shouldn't say. I kind of prefer the aesthetic of Christmas a little more. It's a little more jolly. There's some
I don't know
about Hanukkah.
I don't know the intricacies of religion and whether or not you offended people there or not. I don't know.
I think it would just be my mom who'd be upset, but she actually likes Christmas too. We'll be probably going to a Chinese restaurant down there.
You guys notice how Dan just pumped the brakes on Hanukkah?
I mean, it's actually not a very important Jewish holiday. It's like one of the least important. It was just,
and here's why. Tune in next time on Pump the Brakes with Dan Sostek.
There are people celebrating Hanukkah, and Dan just destroys.
Well, it was literally just added to the calendar so Jewish American kids would have gifts at the same time. It's the holiday closest to Christmas. I won't get into this.
Dan, I think we have to qualify this.
I defend you, Dan.
They clarify Dan is Jewish.
Yeah, I'm 100%. I don't know. Again, I don't know how much I should be labeling this publicly, but whatever.
Pump the Brakes with Dan Sostek is a moneymaker. Megan, producer Megan, tell them how to find you on social media.
Basically, savvy, literate, anywhere you go online.
Are we going to have another podcast besides this one before Christmas? I don't know the schedule right now.
Well, because of talking about Beau Pribula, we're going to have to put this podcast out this week. So, yes, we will have another podcast dropping next week.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. And Evan Wheaton, tell them how to find you and all your omelet recipes on Twitter.
At Evan Wheaton, also on Blue Sky. I'll try and use that more. And whenever my cooking show announcement drops, it'll be right there.
And I'm at Sports5V Linder on Twitter. Again, everybody have a happy holidays. Have a very happy Hanukkah, despite what Dan says. And please remember that he is Jewish. And so, we have nothing bad to say about Hanukkah over here. That's only Dan. And check us out on PennLive.com. We got a ton of stuff. All PA team, I think, will be out money, which is our all-state team, regardless of classifications. Ton of your fall all-star teams are coming out through the holiday stretch here. And we have a bunch of basketball and stuff like that. Austin, what else am I forgetting? You got tons of stuff. You got Penn State, Austin. We got Penn State on the site. Going crazy in the playoffs.
Yeah, we got Penn State in the playoffs on Saturday. We got Steelers coverage. I'll be in Baltimore for Steelers at Ravens this coming Saturday alongside Nick Farabaugh. So things are cooking on Penn Live.
I didn't want to let this podcast in, but that's it, folks. PennLive.com. Check us out.